Come on now. Recording. Ah, oh, been a minute. Just need to find out what's going on with this. Recording. Oh, it's flat. Let's fit back. Let's fit back. Okay. Sorry about this, bruv.
All right,
Uh,
cuz.
sort out this last
No
one here.
worries. No worries.
Sort out this last one here. There you go. Uh, Lesson. Okay. Zoom, zoom. Meeting. Right. Okay. So, do you want to do the open introduction for us this time, please, bruv?
Yes, indeed. Welcome along, people, to our Football Referee Weekly podcast. I am Trevor Gear, and he calls me bruv.
And I am Emmy Hickins, and he calls me Cuz. Welcome to the football referee. Now, Morgan Rogers is it really gone to Chelsea or is it still a rumor? I heard he's going to
I
Chelsea.
don't know. I mean, I know that was where he was supposed to be going, but I don't really know whether any of these, excuse me, any of these transfers have been completed. For example, I do think Elliot Anderson has gone to Manchester City, but then one day you read Elliot Anderson's gone to Manchester City. So I thought, well, I thought I knew that. So in the case of Morgan Rogers, I'm not sure. But what I
No.
also think is that Jordan Henderson has gone or is going to Chelsea. I think that's kind of happening. So kind of surprised in some ways for reasons we may have touched on when we talked about him going to the World Cup. But I
Mm.
guess Chelsea are looking at him as a man of a lot of experience. He was quite a good captain, a very good captain at Liverpool. And I think he went out after Saudi, he went to Ajax for a little while, Brentford, and Brentford have agreed to release him, release his contract. So, yeah, he's gone to Chelsea. And of course, typical Chelsea, good luck to them. But they've got all the money in the world, and it seems they are able to spend at will.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how it all sits with the financial fair play stuff, but they obviously are aware of all that. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting season to look at Chelsea, see how well they progress this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think they won their preseason game. I can't remember if that was yesterday or the day before. They won by 6 goals to 4. So that was a tough one.
Who were they playing? Do you know? I don't know who
Yeah,
they
they were
played.
playing a club in Aus is it Sydney team or something? Sydney,
Yeah,
something is some club in Sydney. Yeah, so
right.
it wasn't any club in England. It was some club in Sydney. I think it was called Sydney something. But the reason why I brought him up is we're looking at the biggest transfers, right? Um, Now he's just a little. He's about one, two, three, four, five. He's about the fifth highest paid transfers. So the top one is Neymar at 222 million, Kylian Mbappe at 180 million, Usman Dembele at 148, Alexander Isak 145. Now these are euros, not
Oh,
pounds.
right. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
145 million. Now he stood at 137 million euros. Is it worth that much? Or is Chelsea just,
This is Morgan Rogers we're talking about. Yeah,
yes, Morgan Rogers, yes.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody can say yes, he definitely is, or no, he definitely isn't, because it's all about where the I think I'd use the word the zeitgeist of football transfers, where the current kind of atmosphere around football transfers is at any one given time. So, yeah, he may be worth that in today's market. The question is always, what is today's market, isn't it? It's a bit like the current petrol prices, as you probably know.
Yeah.
We've had a period, they've been coming down because I guess the Strait of Hormuz, whatever it's called, has been kind of open, or some of it. And it came down, I don't know about where you are, but down here, I think it was about 132.9 for unleaded petrol, but now it's crept up to 143, and in some I've actually seen it like 161 in some stations. So I mean, I've gone off subject there, but the point is that it's a fluid situation with that, and I think football is kind of in that situation. If you get a club, a very rich club, coming out and buying Neymar, or one of these other players, Mbappe, they've got the money, and of course that instinctively or automatically brings up the prices of people further down the chain. Now, I don't know what they value Haaland at. I mean, I'm sure I've read 200 million pounds or euros before this, so it'll be interesting if he should ever go, not least now that Pep's gone. We all be interested to see how Maresco is going to get on there, whether they will lose that sprinkle of magic dust that Guardiola gave them. And of course, Maresco was his assistant, wasn't he, up until a couple of years ago? So he will
Mm.
know the club, the people behind the scenes and on the pitch, most of them, I guess. Whether
Mm.
he's as good a manager as Guardiola is yet to be seen. I'm not
Mm.
sure he excelled at Chelsea. I'm not sure he was there long enough. I don't know. But
Mm.
so it's going to be very interesting. But if they don't kind of live up in the early part of the season, if the players become aware, having gone there because most of them, because Guardiola wanted them, people like
Mm.
Mark Gay, for example. Now Anderson obviously is going there knowing Guardiola's not there, but a lot of them, Haaland, who I think had a long contract as well, they may ultimately think if they don't have a good start, maybe up to Christmas, well, it's not going so well. It's not the same without Pep, because he did have that magic dust about him. You never know. He might be up for sale, and I'm sure there will be some takers of Haaland if he was for sale, takers who can afford it. The obvious things are going to be Real Madrid or Barcelona, although Barcelona may have problems with some of the buying because of financial fair play. I don't know, but perhaps that's
Mm.
all in the past.
Mm.
But yeah, the price of a footballer is very much linked to what the market is at the time. And I'm not really talking about those perhaps under 50 or 60 million. I mean, that kind of is a market that stays put at the present time. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, is Morgan Rogers worth that sort of money?
Mm.
If I'm honest, if I had to make a decision off the fence, I would say probably not. Not any
Mm.
insult to him. He's a very good player. He is. But is Morgan Rogers one of the players we think of as elite players, like the ones you
Mm.
mentioned at the top end of that? And if he's fifth or sixth in line, as I say, he's a great footballer. I'd love him to be at Crystal Palace. So it's nothing against him. But whether
Mm.
he is in that top echelon of footballers in this country, I'm not sure.
Mm. 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 Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's an upward, it seems to be like an upward kind of jet stream or trajectory of players' wages just going is going
Yeah,
astronomical up in price.
yeah.
It won't be long now before we start hearing players worth 500 million, 1 billion, yeah. 1 million,
Well,
you never
yeah,
know.
it will get
You
there
never know.
eventually, I expect.
It will.
I'm
It
sure
will.
it will. Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
will, yeah. Now, the next one is now, by the way, you did mention Haaland, Erling Haaland, and you said,
I
well,
did.
we wonder what yeah, you said
Yeah,
we wonder what his market value would be
what he would be. Yeah, yeah,
at this point. Well, according to this article, he's had a 20% increase. He's had a 20 million euros increase on his
yeah.
on his market value, and is now at 220 million.
All right, I
200,
said 200 million, didn't I?
yeah.
So
Uh,
220. Yeah.
so you saw you were right there in the ballpark. And Yamil
Yamal, yeah,
Lamine Yamal. That's it.
yeah, hard to
Yeah,
say.
I know. Lamine Yamal is on the same price tag. I would have thought he would have been a bit more pricier.
Would you?
Uh,
More expensive.
More expensive, yeah. I would have thought that. But it is at the same value as Haaland, 220
Yeah.
million. Yeah. Matter of fact, he's had a 20 million euros increase on his as well. So yeah. But I think the kid is got really bright future. Is
Yeah, it
is
has.
is got a
Yeah.
really bright future at Barcelona.
What it
Um,
shows, though, just on the value, I mean, you say he's up there, and I guess he would be because he's a brilliant young footballer and he's only 19 as well.
yeah,
But what it does show is only with all these top players we're talking about and a few others, as I say,
yeah,
obviously we've included Haaland, but
yeah.
a few other really elites, the best of the best, they can only ever be transferred to a club that can afford them, and that's a handful of clubs really in the football world.
Mm,
It really is. So all this sort of thing perpetuates inevitably is that the best clubs will get better and they'll be dominating their leagues, which we see, don't we?
mm,
To a large degree in the Premier League, we see it in La Liga, the Bundesliga, and around the world. And I suspect in South America it's true as well. So I'm not sure. Is the question I would ask is that good for football and football's future? The fact that so few clubs can get hold of the very best creme de la creme of the footballers, which is inevitably going to make them win the things, win the cups, the trophies, the titles. Is that good for football that it's so dominated? I mean, we know in Scotland that it's always been dominated really by Celtic and
Rangers.
Rangers. Now, Hearts came very close last season, didn't they? It was quite a
Mm,
well, you know, it was an exciting end of season, all on that game, which I believe Celtic won it at the end, at the end of the season. So, good luck. And Hearts came close, but I think Aberdeen were another club, not very many, if any others, who've won it in the last number of years. So Scotland is a very dominated football society, but then so is England, really, because we know, I mean, Liverpool not so good last season, but Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool, if they come good, we're dominated by those teams. And really, much as I love the Premier League and I watch it, I go to games most weeks, home and away. Um, it does sometimes you get frustrated thinking, well, it's not a level playing field. Another good analogy, it's not a level playing field. You feel your team, if you're one of the supporters of most of the teams, are at a disadvantage because, you're up against the very best players. Now, of course, the great thing about the Premier League is it is true to a degree, to a large degree, that any team can beat any other team. But it's always nice to say that, and occasionally it works, but not always. So the best teams, who would bet against Arsenal or Manchester City winning the league this season before a ball is even kicked? I mean, you'd be a brave person or foolish with your money if you put a bet on saying, "Oh, I think Arsenal and Man City they won't be in the top two or three," because the fact is we can almost guarantee one or both will be. So, is that good for football? Yeah, I suppose we know we have the most competitive league in the world, so we're very fortunate in that score. But it's not a level playing field, and I suspect as time goes by, that lack of being level will be more exacerbated by these kind of transfer prices.
mm. That's very true. Yeah. Well, isn't that the case with everything else in life? where, you'll always have people that have a bit too much and they control the have-nots. It's just the
Yeah,
same
I
thing.
mean, I couldn't disagree with that.
Yeah.
And I think it all we could discuss that for a long time with good
Mm,
reason, partly on this podcast, but also on our other one, the alien spaceship.
mm,
Because the premise, and I think we all need to say it without any trace of bitterness,
mm,
because in many ways you, I, and those around us, we're the lucky one. We're some of the lucky ones. When you think
mm,
where some people are born into abject poverty and in countries that don't function properly and all sorts of things, even within countries, people can be born into pretty poor, pretty dire circumstances. That is
mm,
part of life. Hopefully, there is a majority who have a life which they say, yeah, life is good. Problems, we all have problems, but life
mm,
is pretty good. But
mm,
yeah, I think you're right that it comes down to one simple sentence that life is unfair. And I think if we adopt that without bitterness and say, yeah, life is unfair, but hey, I'm one of the lucky ones because I
mm,
don't go without food, I don't go without shoes, I don't, and frankly, no one in this country should ever go without shoes. I
mm,
think we sometimes say the wrong things are said, which indicate there is that level of poverty. Now, some may say, listening to me, well, what do you know? But I think there's enough safety nets for people not to go without basic food and provisions and clothing sort of thing. But as
mm,
I say, without getting into all that, life is unfair. That is the very nature of life. Some people will have more than others, but it's not just inherited necessarily. Some people work a lot harder to achieve what they want than others.
mm,
Some people sit back and think, well, I can't be bothered, or I'm not very good at something, and they don't. They might get a bit frustrated when they see someone else who sort of flaunts their wealth. I mean, I'm not that I'm going along with that, but I guess if we're looking at material possession and things we all sort of want or need, then
mm,
life is unfair. And I
mm,
think if we embrace that and say, yeah, it is, but I'm just thankful for this shot at life that I've got. No one has a perfect life. No one does, however
mm,
rich or whatever they are. Some have an easier life than others. But yeah, I think I consider I'm very fortunate to live a life on this planet. And
mm,
so football, in many ways, is the same. As I was explaining about being a Palace fan and the fans of all the other, or most of the other clubs in the Premier League, we have to say, yeah, it's an unfair system that the top
mm,
three or four clubs buy all the best players from around the world, and they're going to win the league pretty much every year. It's
mm,
unfair, but hey, I see it. I'm still in the Premier League with Palace, as you are with Manchester United, and they
mm.
could come good. They're going to be one of those teams up there as well, I suspect. So yeah, we have to accept it and fight for what we think is fairness as far as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, okay, so let's get back to to football.
Apologies, I went off a bit of a
No, that's
tangent
fine.
there.
That's fine. That's fine. Now, now Marcus Rashford for Manchester United. Let's look at that. So Marcus Rashford offered. So Manchester United offered Marcus Rashford swap chance to complete 51 million transfer. But he's turned it down. No, no, no. Barcelona turned down the chance to sign the England star on a permanent deal. So he's set to remain at Manchester United. What sort of conflict would that cause there at Manchester United?
Yeah, I mean, you as a Man United fan, you probably know better than I. But my perception is that we all know he left there where both sides, he and the club, were not really on talking terms or not very much. And it
Mm,
was probably an important time for him to escape and go to Barcelona. I think initially he went to, was it Villa? I think he went there initially, but and then on to Barcelona on loan.
Mm.
To me, if Man United are saying 51 million, two questions come to mind. Why not 50 million? Why 51 million? There must be
Yeah.
some strange reason for that. And the other question is, why are you asking that much? You know you don't really want him back politically within your club. I don't know what the fans think there. You will know better than I, but he didn't go out on the friendliest terms with the club. And
Mm.
so I would have thought they might make it attractive for Barcelona to say, well, okay, he's played for us. He's a good player. He was in the
Mm.
World Cup with England. We don't mind paying 40 million or 35 million. But to go for 51 million strikes me as a bit of an odd number. Why not 50 million? But that, to me, we talked about market values. I don't think now I will put him at the 50 million touch. I'd be thinking more of a bargain at 30 or 35 million. So yeah, if he goes back there, I
Mm.
don't know. I would think he might want to move on somewhere else. Having said that, I mean Michael Carrick, I don't think was the manager when he was there, so he might feel with new players come in, and some gone. It's going to be a different kind of mindset there now. Different players, different group of players. Maybe he would feel, yeah, I'd like to muck in and play my football there. But I just have a feeling that for a player from our country, having played a season or however long it was in Spain, in Barcelona,
Mm.
and I know it's kind of risking going off football again, but it is relevant. I mean, I was in Barcelona a few weeks ago, and as you possibly know if you've been there, it's the most fabulous city.
Mm.
Sure, it's got its downside, but a beautiful place, and the sunshine, the weather. So, a footballer, I can totally understand why Messi, for example, spent most of his career there from South America because it's a great place to live and a great city to play your football in. So, I would imagine Rashford would. I don't know. This is my own surmising, but I would think he would probably ideally want to stay there if they would have him. And so he
Mm.
would encourage Man United to put on a sensible price. Because if I were Barcelona, I probably wouldn't pay 51 million. So I don't know. Much might depend on what the fans think. You can tell me what do the fans think of him and the prospect of him coming back to Old Trafford.
Well, I don't think the fans want him there anyway, so that's just
Mm.
that's just as simple as that. I don't want him there. Um, and I don't think any of the fans want him there as well. But the thing with Rashford is, I can't remember now. Correct me if I'm wrong. Has he played with the manager before? Um,
I would think I don't know that for a fact, but I would think
right,
he did. I because he Michael Carrick was there a few years ago now.
right.
He came up, didn't he, from Tottenham, I believe, a few years ago, and I'm sure that would have been within the same time frame as Rashford.
Yeah, so I must have played with Rashford then. Yeah. Um, I think there might be a big-headedness there because, if used to be your teammate and now you're my
Yeah,
manager trying to tell me what to do, you
it
know,
happens though. It does happen. I
it
think.
does. It
Yeah,
does.
it does
Absolutely.
happen in life as well, but it happens in
It
football
does.
where,
Yeah.
generally, I think that probably works. I mean, you could say the same about Harry Maguire, possibly. I don't know whether he was there
Yeah.
when Carrick was there, possibly not. But yeah, I mean, you may play alongside somebody at international level, in the past, and then
Mm.
nowadays they're your manager. I think it happens. I don't think that's
Yep.
really much of an issue if you get on with
Oh,
that person, certainly.
yeah. Yeah. Well, let's see. See how it goes. But I don't see who they're going to substitute for him. I don't really know. I don't know because there will still be some in the management that might not want him there. They might think we
Yeah,
just we
yeah.
you know we just want to get rid of this problem. Just go somewhere, anywhere. Just go.
Anyway, Yeah.
I would think that, if I was Rashford, I would take an offer for like, 35 million, take a reduced pay cut and
Mm.
then try to prove myself, because I do think he's got something in him. I do think he's got something in him, but it might just be, you know, you could have somebody that is really, really nice, and it might just be the way that they come across to you. They might be loud or not to, because you never see him smile that much, Rashford.
No,
So
you
I
don't
don't.
really. No,
No,
you
you
don't.
don't. No, he
You
doesn't
don't.
smile.
Some people, some players, or people, you don't. Some people just don't smile a lot, do they?
That's true. That's
But
true.
you're right. He's one.
Yeah,
You go some way to find a photograph of him smiling. It just may be his nature, his demeanor. Probably nothing in
yeah,
that.
right.
But
Yeah,
yeah, he
yeah,
doesn't smile a lot.
yeah. But it doesn't make people comfortable around you if you don't smile. You know,
Hmm.
I don't know, just me. Right. So the next one is Chelsea leads the race to sign Jordan Henderson for free with the former Liverpool captain open to joining. Now, it's like a gift that keeps giving. Jordan Henderson, you think, right, okay, he's gone to Saudi. He's gone to Saudi now, he's going to stay there and then retire when he comes back. But he comes back and is still very much wanted.
Mm.
What's the secret?
Yeah, I mean, I raised him earlier. Sorry to have jumped in before you
No, it's
raised his
fine.
name, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, he didn't stay that long in Saudi. I think actually the team he joined was just outside of Saudi Arabia. Can't think of the actual country it was, but very close. But I don't think he particularly, or his family particularly, liked the hot weather and all the rest of it. I mean,
No.
I'm sure that was said at some stage anyway. But yeah, he came out, and I don't think he came out as he was probably expecting to be there longer because I think he came out quite early, and at some point he went to Ajax in Holland, in the Netherlands,
Mm,
and then, of course, came back to Brentford. I think it was probably his wish to come back to the Premier League for obvious reasons. I mean, he was a good footballer for Liverpool, very good footballer, and he played for England at that time, of course. He was a good midfield creative guy, great passer of the ball. You may remember, just as an aside almost, that at one point he was not just rumoured, I think he was going to Manchester United when Ferguson was the manager, and he sort of failed a medical. Now, I'm not sure he actually failed it, but I remember quite clearly, really, Ferguson saying, "No, we're not going to sign him now because my medical people say at some stage you'll have problems with his knees."
mm,
And I seem to remember them saying because of the way he runs, something like that. And I thought that was a really interesting reason to not sign somebody, but also why would you explain that in public? I mean, I suppose you might explain it rather than say he failed a medical, which technically I don't think he did. But if the powers that be, the medical powers that be, thought, well, yeah, he runs in a bit of a cack-handed way. It's not a very good analogy there, but he runs in a different sort of way, and that eventually could tell on his knees. I may be wrong, but it was something along those lines, and so they didn't sign him. But that obviously didn't stop his transfer to Saudi. I don't know whether it was a free move back to Ajax or Brentford. Possibly they were free moves and not paid for. And I
mm.
think it's a free move to Chelsea as well. So, and has he got something to offer still? I think he has. He's obviously very good around the dressing room with the spirit he's got. He probably is a good glue for the players, and he's a good link as the captain. If he probably won't be captain at Chelsea, or he might be, but a good link
Mm.
from the team to the manager. He's got that experience like that. So I can totally see why Chelsea might want him, even if he doesn't end up sort of starting every game. Because I mean, he is in his 30s now, isn't he? And although I'm not saying he's finished physically, I'm sure he's not. But players often get to a point where they don't start every game. But he will start some, and then if he comes off, if the manager thinks he's had an hour or whatever, he'll pass his captain's armband if he is made captain to somebody else, and that may be the sort of season he's going to have. I don't see him starting every game and being captain of the year. I think he'll be a good captain when he's playing, but I think they'll use him sparingly, to get the best out of him. And
Mm.
when players get to, well, I don't know what he is, 33, 34, then they do need to be used sparingly so they don't, get exhausted. I think we saw in the World Cup, one or two of our players towards the end were clearly shattered. I mean, I know some of the games were in hot weather, some were in the air-conditioned stadiums, but when you get to a certain age, you don't have the pace that you used to have. So I think he'll be effective if he's used properly.
Very good. Yeah. I mean, I love the guy. I love the guy. He's cool-headed, he's level-headed,
Yeah.
and he must have a lot of football experience for him to be sought after like that. So, well, good luck to him.
And he's
Yeah.
and he's very good as well at falling over advertising boards, isn't he? And breaking his wrist. I don't
Oh yeah.
laugh about that. It's probably
He did
very
that. Yeah.
painful, but
I
he
know he
did
did
that.
that
But he
well.
was back. He was back with the squad very quickly. I think he had some surgery, and then a
Mm.
day or two later, he was back with the squad. So he's obviously healed up on that one, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay. So, we've had rule changes for the FIFA World Cup. Now, Premier League refereeing rule changes for the next season. You'll be glad to know this. So, if a player gets injured, they now have to leave the pitch for a minute. Previously, 30 seconds. Did we know that? I thought it was
Yeah.
always been. Oh, okay. So it's 30
Yeah,
seconds.
if they get injured, the trainer comes on, or trainers come on, they take them off. He can't come back on for 30 seconds. But as you say, I think they're increasing that to 1 minute.
1 minute. Yeah. Okay. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's good, and I think there's also that they're waiting. The FA, the Premier League, they're waiting for, I think, the sanction, the agreement of UEFA or possibly FIFA. I don't know which one, to a slight alteration to that as well, because the one exception was if the goalkeeper went down, which in most of the Premier League, I think most goalkeepers, surprisingly, strangely, go down injured. They sit on the floor in the last 5 or 10 minutes, especially if they're winning or whatever, or drawing against a much better side. And of course, that simply means it can go down. The trainers inevitably have to be allowed on. The other players go and get their drink and get instructions, to how to do this, that, and the other. So it's a bit of a con. Not always. There's bound to be, crying wolves. One day a goalkeeper will have a serious injury. Hopefully not. But
Mm.
now what? And of course, then wouldn't go off for 30 seconds because you can't not have a goalkeeper. So what they're now saying is, if he goes down and they have to come on to treat him, then when he gets up, another player has to go off for 1 minute. Now, I don't know how that, I suppose the manager would select which player's got to come off. As I say, when I read about this the other day, they still seem to be waiting for confirmation that they can do this. Probably UEFA, I suppose. And I'm sure it will work because everybody knows, in the frenzied last 5 or 10 minutes where a team is trying to equalise, for example, and then the goalkeeper of the other team's goalkeeper just sits down, stops all the momentum, and you feel it's done quite deliberately so that the players can have a rest, they can just disturb the momentum, basically. So I think it's a good move as long as it is allowed, and I expect it will be. I mean, on the point of those rule changes, we always said, or I always said, and possibly you did as well, before the World Cup, that 5 seconds for a throw in, that's not going to work. But of course, it didn't work really because the player would pick up the ball and they didn't really rush to do that. Now, I do think some throw-ins were quicker, And they didn't see many of the long throws, did we? Where they go out and do this and
Yeah.
wait a really long throw. We didn't see much of that. So maybe it achieved its objective. But when he picked up the ball, he then walked to the touchline. And if like 2 or 3 seconds went by, you saw the ref counting to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the player then knew he had to release it by 5. But on the point of 5, I think every time I would say, from when he picked up the ball, or certainly when he got the ball he was going to pick up, 10 or 15 seconds passed by because the
Mm.
ref waited a bit before he sort of said, hang on a minute, you've only got 5 seconds. So it was a bit, what's the word? It was disingenuous to say they've got 5 seconds. But no doubt they will carry that on because it will cut out the long throw, won't it? Where one of the defenders, who's the long throw specialist, runs over, and it seems to take forever to actually take the throw. So if it cuts that out, which is really time wasting, then I think it's a good thing. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what other rule changes we might see.
Yeah. Well analyzed because that was the next one I was coming to.
I got him first again.
No, that's fine. Right. So the next one was 5 second countdown for throw-ins and free kicks and goal kicks, sorry. That's always been there, right? Or are they?
The goal kicks, yeah, they are. What is it? The goalkeeper can't. I mean, last season he couldn't
Hmm,
hold the ball for more than 8 seconds. He had to put it
right.
on the floor, and I don't think it happened very often. But if he held it for longer, 8 or more than 8 seconds, a corner was given. Now, I think I only ever remember
Hmm,
on TV, Match of the Day or Sky or something, ever only seeing once. I think that happening. Now, it must have happened once or twice more, but I suppose the goalkeeper's got the message: don't hold on the ball, so no one can
hmm.
come and try and get it off you. So all they got to do is put it on the floor, as long as an opposition player, isn't near them. Yeah. Now I thought that changed in the World Cup, and some again, I'm not 100% on this, but I have a feeling it was like 6 seconds.
Hmm.
Did you have a memory on that? I don't
Um,
think it
I,
was
I
8. I don't think it
I
was
don't
eight
think
seconds.
I don't think it was like if it was, I don't think they enforced it, the
No,
rule. I
no,
don't think so,
no.
yeah. Yeah, I think, well, they did say it was going to be five, because we did talk about it on this show about the new FIFA rules before the World Cup started. And I think
Yeah,
now they're rolling it out to the Premier League as well. I wonder what UEFA thinks of it.
yeah,
Um, Maybe
yeah.
they're going to adopt it as well. Who knows? Um, Now the next one is time wasting will lead to possession being overturned.
Possession. Well,
Yeah, yeah. So time wasting will lead to possession being overturned. And then the next one is VAR can prevent second yellows being
right.
given. So somebody's been booked once. Now he commits another offense. Now the referee's already brought out a second yellow and a red subsequently.
Mm.
A VAR can then say halt. Um, Because I don't think the VAR had that much power over the second yellow. Did we? Did they
No,
used to?
I don't think it could be reviewed and overruled. But
Hmm.
clearly now that is what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, what I've found strange on the point of VAR in the World Cup, it was
Hmm.
notable, in my opinion, by its absence. Not least in when Argentina played England, nothing, the potential fouls or whatever against Argentina seemed to be referred to the VAR. And I always understood every goal that's scored in the Premier League or around the world is just checked. I don't believe the commentators were not saying, oh, VAR is just checking that. A lot of stuff, and particularly some of the bad fouls, were not even checked. And
Yeah.
often Argentina seemed to be involved, and it was seemingly to their benefit. But generally, I wasn't under the impression that VAR was used very much. And I thought maybe it's done very smoothly and quickly. I mean, here we're used to it taking 3 or 4 minutes sometimes to check a corner or whatever. I mean, that's something else they can also check. They can
Hmm.
reverse a corner decision, which was in the World Cup, and that was good because two or three at least times a ref gave a corner or didn't give a corner, VAR did reverse it. So it was used for a few things. But when I think it should have been used, whether a goal should have been scored because of an offside or a foul. And yet, when they did use it against, I think it was against Egypt, a beautiful goal, which would have been one of the goals of the tournament. And that yet VAR took it right back. I don't know how long, but maybe a minute in the play to a foul, so called. It wasn't even given as a foul by the ref. And I think that was one of the examples where the fans and a lot of other teams felt that there's a bias in favour of Argentina, and that brilliant goal by Egypt was ruled out. It would have made them 2 up at the time, so it was still 1. They did still get another goal subsequently, but of course lost 3-2 near the end of the game.
Hmm.
So I couldn't understand why this tool, VAR, which is on a good day, its idea is excellent, it didn't seem to be being used. Now, whether that
Hmm.
was to favour some teams instead of others, we'll never know. But but yeah, but if it can check yellow cards, because a second yellow, of course, means someone's got to leave the pitch. And if
Hmm.
I've never really understood why that hasn't been reviewable before, except you may say it's not a clear and obvious error. If a ref sees enough to give someone a second yellow, then it's got to be a pretty heavy mistake. But they do happen,
Hmm.
and if
Yeah.
VAR can look at that like it now does corners, then that's got to be good. But I still think we need consistency, which I don't think we saw in the World Cup, even in the sense that it didn't seem to be used very much.
No, no, it was just absent. And I
It
think
was.
the issue about whether they were biased against other teams when it came to Argentina, I think that's been established. You got the eyes. The
Yeah,
eyes is the proof. We all
yeah,
saw what VAR didn't see. Anyway, now VAR can't give second yellows. So VAR cannot give second
no,
yellows.
right.
It seems a bit contradictory to the one that says VAR can prevent second yellows being given. Now VAR can't give second yellows. Do you understand that?
Well, it sounds like if that's the way it is, it only works one way, so they can remove
Prevent
a
it.
second yellow and stop someone being sent off. But if if I suppose if a foul is checked and they feel it's worthy of a second yellow and therefore sending off, I suppose what they're
Mm,
saying is the VAR ref shouldn't have the power to get someone sent off the pitch. And
mm,
you've got to say, why would VAR check a foul that wasn't yellowed or second yellowed, except for it could be a sending off offence on its own. It could be and I think they could probably say, yeah, that was a red card offence in itself, which is
mm,
not giving a second yellow. But what they can't say is, no, that's bad enough for a yellow card, a second one as it happens,
mm,
because that is really more within the ref's purview. I think it's for the ref to say that's a foul. I've blown for a foul, and I think it was a card. I
mm,
don't think. I mean, up to now, VAR can't say we've looked at that foul, ref. It should be a yellow card. They can say we think it should be a red card. Go and look at the monitor. So yeah, I
mm.
can understand that. They shouldn't have the power to start awarding yellow cards. No.
Yeah, okay. That's sorted. Now, Valentina Caventes, who happens to be Enzo Fernandez's partner, has reportedly revealed the Chelsea midfielder is considering not returning to England after the World Cup.
I think he's scared stiff, isn't he? Is he? Is that serious? Is he really?
Well, that's what it says. Sources say Enzo fears the backlash he could face from the fans.
Yeah, but he's got a contract. I expect he can't just decide not to, unless he's out of contract. He
Yeah,
can't just decide not to go back. And I
yeah.
think he will get a backlash as well. I think, to be honest, and I don't advocate spiteful reactions to players, it's not worth it. I mean,
No.
it's just the way of the game in the World Cup. But
Mm,
I think a lot of the players. I mean, McAllister, he was quite dirty 2 or 3 times at least. So he could get a bit of a backlash. I don't think they'll get backlashes from their own fans. I think they will maybe to get wound up by opposition fans, but I think it would reflect, a very over physical fouling performance by
mm,
so many Argentina players in the first parts of our game with them,
mm,
pushing our players over as they did other teams, and they got away with it all, and that leaves a bad taste. I mean, I was watching, I think it was yesterday, a clip of Messi. He was
mm,
facing, so I don't know what the opposition was, I can't remember, but in the World Cup, he was dribbling, facing an opposition player, and he was trying to dribble around and all the rest of it, and he almost tripped over his own legs and fell over. At which point he sort of curls up a bit, holding his face. And the commentator made a comment to the effect, "I've never seen anything so dishonest and stupid." And I think, and I can't. I mean, the linesman ran there in case there was a bit of a, because the player who Messi was trying to get round, they hadn't even connected at all, and he just put his hands up when Messi fell over, tripped over
mm.
himself really, and the linesman sort of ran there as if worried maybe there'd be a reaction from, but there wasn't. And the ref comes over, and I'm not sure what happened after that. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the guy was booked, but there's no way they could do that because
No.
the linesman must have seen they didn't touch. But I don't think Messi did his own reputation
Any
as
good?
any good at all, because as when he tried to get Cucurella booked, for when he sort of just touched his mouth, didn't speak. Oh, he turns to the ref. This is at the end of the game, of course, and tries to get Cucurella booked or sent off for racism. No, we all know he's a great player, but to me, he's very much tarnished his reputation. Really has.
Yeah, yeah. It was just it was just a really dirty tactics that the Argentinians employed or deployed, as the case may be. It's just, it's that wasn't football. What they
No, it
did
wasn't.
wasn't football. What they
Yeah.
did against what they did against Egypt wasn't football. What they did against
No.
England, and certainly what they did against Spain in the finals was definitely not football. But they seem to have
Are,
got
are
away with
we?
it. Yeah.
Are we at the time? I think
Oh
we're
yeah,
running on the.
yes, we are. Yeah. Oh
Yep.
damn. Yeah, I just carried on. I just carried on. Right. Okay. So this is all we've got time for on this segment of the football referee, the first segment. We're now going over to the second segment. Thanks for watching and listening. I've been Emmy Hickins, and he calls me Cuz.
And I'm Trevor Gear, and he calls me bro.
Oh yeah, I do call him bro. So it's a goodbye from me on this segment.
Goodbye from me too.
Ah,
Yeah, I
okay.
thought we were running over a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, we were. Yeah. Or about 2 minutes over, actually, which is 3 minutes. Right. Okay. So should we go into the second segment
Straight
straight
on.
away?
Yeah, straight
Yeah.
on.
Yes. Yeah. Let's do that.
Straight
Uh,
on while we're having fun.
yeah. It was recording for the first segment as well. Just so. Right. Okay. So, right. Okay. So let me just. No. Okay. Let's do this. So do you want to do the opening remarks for the second segment, please, bro?
Yeah. Okay, welcome people to the second segment today of our podcast, The Football Referee. I'm Trevor Gear, and he calls me bruv.
And I'm Emmy Hickins, and he calls me Cuz. Welcome to the second segment of the football referee. Now, it says contract talks remain ongoing, but Los Blancos are unwilling to improve their offer unless Vinicius lowers his wage demand, potentially opening doors for Arsenal. How? Would he be how? All right. So would he be able to fit into the Premier League, Vinicius Junior?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I thought I saw yesterday that Real Madrid have blocked it anyway. Now,
Yeah.
I think they don't really want him to go there. As to
No.
whether he could fit in, it's a good question. And of course, the obvious answer which comes to mind is, yeah, he's a very good footballer. Of course, he would fit in. But I suppose it would matter if the team he would go to plays a system that would enable him to be part of that. Yeah, I mean he's clearly a brilliant footballer. I mean, you wouldn't be playing quite a long time for Real Madrid if you were not. So yeah, I think any British team, English team that could get him in the Premier League, I think would utilise him and find they've got an absolute star on their hands. He's a great player. So I was a little bit disappointed that it was ruled out by Real Madrid, partly because we seem to be on a slightly one-way track here, where we seem to lose every season one or two more of our top players. I mean, I'm just trying to think of anyone who's gone recently. I can't think of anyone, but I know there's talk of sort of somebody else possibly going to Bayern Munich. I can't think who that is at the minute, but we seem to be losing some of our top players to the other leagues, and not so much replenishing them with European talent or South American or whatever. So yeah, I hope we do get players, big name players like Junior, because he's such a good and famous player and a great player. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether anyone else may be en route to us, because of course the transfer window goes on surprisingly, in my mind, to the beginning of September. And you think it might be better to close it right before the season starts. But whether that's because across Europe, different leagues start at different time, I don't know.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it'd be nice to have Vinicius Junior in the Premier League, but um, yeah, I didn't think it was gonna go through. So I read the same thing that you read,
Mm.
about him. Finally, they decided to keep him at Real Madrid. But I just thought, how good would it have been if,
Yeah,
it,
and he had kind of fallen out a bit. I think I can't remember the details now, but he had fallen out with Real Madrid, didn't he? So maybe they've made up friends again, and he'll have another good season with them, I expect.
Hmm. I'll tell you what could have influenced the making up. I'm going to read this article. So it says Vinicius Jr. has built one of football's biggest commercial empires with 16 global sponsorship deals, including Nike, Pepsi, PlayStation, Prada, Visa, and Gatorade. As part of his current Real Madrid contract, the Brazilian reportedly gives the club around 50% of his image rights income, meaning
Well,
Madrid can earn millions from his off the pitch brand deals as well as his performances on the pitch. So the size of Vinicius's commercial empire is also believed to be one of the key topics in his ongoing contract negotiations with the
mm,
club. You can see that, can't you? You can just see
yeah,
why. I mean, if I was Real Madrid, I wouldn't let him go. He'd go get 50%
it's, it's obvious, isn't it?
of it. Yeah, it is obvious. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, I wonder if Arsenal would have got that instead, if it would have been
yeah.
transferred
Well, I
to.
don't think Real Madrid could have continued to get that. But I mean, you
Hmm.
think footballers today, the top footballers, they have huge payments for their image rights, and probably their clubs do always benefit to some degree of that. But
Hmm.
that wasn't something. If you, I don't know, you go back 20 years, or maybe, I mean, the Premier League started, what was it, in the early 90s, I think. And I think it took 10 years to really find its feet commercially. Always been a success. But I guess, the last 20, 25 years, the image rights are an increasingly huge part of a player's income, and not to mention their sponsorships and stuff like that. So it's almost like their club salaries or wages are a lesser part of their global income these days. So it's
Yeah.
a lucrative place to be, Premier League football or international football.
It is, it is. And that just reminded me of musicians' contracts as well, because sometimes you do have that sort of thing with a record label, and they'll take a certain
Mm,
percentage of the, musicians' commercial
yeah.
sponsorship deals and stuff like that. But anyway, now Premier League, this is the predictions for how the table's gonna end.
Yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah.
Oh, did you? All right.
Well, I still,
So
did our Crystal Palace 10th? And then,
10. No, Bournemouth is 10.
all right, where were Palace then?
Palace is 12.
Okay, let me just find my one to counteract your one then. Anyway, keep talking. I am listening.
Right. So this is according to AI. So it's put Arsenal at the top to win again. Arsenal. And
Right.
then Man City
Yeah.
um to be runners up, followed by
So
Chelsea.
I'll
One.
carry on reading down, and then I'll tell you where it differs. So I agree the first two: Arsenal top, Man City. My
Yeah.
third is Liverpool.
Okay, so Liverpool is fourth on this one.
Right. Well, Chelsea are fourth on this one.
Chelsea's Chelsea's third on this one. Yeah.
Then Villa and Man U fifth and sixth.
Yeah, so you have Aston Villa is fifth,
Yeah.
Newcastle is sixth.
Okay. Well, I've got Newcastle seventh and
Yeah,
Tottenham eighth. Well, I'll just read on. Brighton ninth, Palace
yeah,
10th,
yeah,
Bournemouth 11th, Brentford 12, Fulham 13, Everton
yeah,
14, 15 Leeds, 16 Nottingham Forest, 17 Sunderland, 18 Ipswich. And I've not got that on the screenshot, but is it probably the three clubs that are coming up? I reckon they're going down, don't they? And
yeah.
I
So
think there's a
Coventry,
chance
yeah,
that will happen. I think it
yeah.
will happen again.
So Coventry, Hull, City, and Ipswich are the ones that are going to be relegated according to this. So,
Right.
well,
Yeah.
let's see how true
You
this.
see if it works like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, yeah. Well, AI is predicting everything, so why not football? You know?
Yeah. No, that's
Now,
right. Yeah.
yeah. Now in the World Cup, there's
Yeah.
there's one there's one player that was underrated a little bit, but actually shone quite a lot, and that is Jude Bellingham. He scored three more goals than Cristiano Ronaldo in the World Cup.
Mm. He got
Cristiano
seven,
Ronaldo,
didn't he? Was it seven?
he got seven
Yeah.
goals. Yes,
Seven.
he got 7 goals. It could have easily been the highest goal scorer for.
Mm.
It could have easily won the Golden Boot if anything had happened to Mbappe and he didn't play in
Yeah.
the finals. But lucky for Mbappe, he's played in the finals. Now, there's this thing about FIFA. So let me just see if I can just read it out. So FIFA President Gianni Infantino is planning to sell stakes in the World Cup to private investors. He will do so under a scheme that could potentially earn him tens of millions of pounds. Investor discussions held with figures close to the Trump administration. What do you make of that, Bob? I'm sure you've heard the story or you've seen
Yeah,
this
I've
story.
looked at this. I've looked at it briefly, and I mean, there's quite a lot of negative reaction around the football world, not least with UEFA.
Hmm?
I mean, UEFA are positively against, I think, positively against FIFA, let alone this
Hmm.
particular proposal.
Hmm.
And the FA as well, who've got an interest. And I think the big argument against FIFA seems to be that this has all been carrying on, under the radar. That they normally, I mean, I think it's probably true to say, and I'm sure some have said it, FIFA doesn't own football. You could actually say nobody owns football because there's so many stakeholder interests. You've got your players, your clubs, your fans, UEFA, FIFA, all the other federations around the world.
Mm.
No one can really say football is mine. And that's what FIFA seem to be doing, that they think they can sell off to the highest bidders parts of the World Cup. Now, I think what they want to do, I think they've started a company within FIFA called FIFA Forward Enterprise,
Enterprise, yeah.
and they want to. They're offering. I mean, FIFA will maintain a majority shareholding in this, but they're offering the rest of it to would-be investors who can obviously pump in a lot of money, which will go, at least some of it, to FIFA, of course.
Mm.
And it just seems to be diluting something that shouldn't be out commercially in this way. And as you say, it does seem to be a connection with the fact that Infantino is a mate of Trump, because there is an American connection on it as well.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, the FA are very disappointed. They've made their protests, as have UEFA as well. I
Mm.
think FIFA have offered to pay £30 million to the associations that go along with this. There's a real sort of bribe, isn't it, to do that? So there may be, I mean, in football terms, £30 million isn't much money, to be honest. So I don't know. It's early stages, and I don't think we know enough about it. But
Mm.
but yeah, it's at a time when people were hoping FIFA might show a bit of backbone and actually at least make comment about the fuss, the furore about Argentina. I mean, that's been a negative legacy of this World Cup.
Mm.
And you say about Enzo Fernandez, not wanting to come back because they know what happened. They would never admit it, I'm sure, but they would know they were in the wrong. And this 23 million petition to have them thrown out of the next one. And the answer to that, almost within days, was, well, actually, one match is going to be played in Argentina. So, and they're automatically entered. Well, in the past, it's not been automatic entry for the host nation. So even there, they seem to be benefiting. And it's under the guise, I think, that the next World Cup 2030 is 100 years anniversary of the first World Cup. And so I think Paraguay and Uruguay are also going to get one game played in their countries, as is Argentina. But of course, the rest is over this side of things, isn't it? It's in. Just remind me, is it in the Netherlands, Sweden? Is it? I can't remember, but
For the next World Cup,
the next World Cup,
is it in Germany? 20, is it 20? All right. Yeah, we're in 2026.
2030. Yeah,
2030. Um,
but it is
I
in
th
Europe, isn't it? Basically,
yeah, I think they're looking at 64. They're looking at 64
clubs.
countries,
Yeah,
rather than 48 this time. And they're going to play across Europe and America.
yeah. I mean, South America there, which again,
South
it
America,
seems
yeah.
to be I mean, I'm all for progression and change. You can't just stuck in the same thing. I don't think the
Yeah.
64 teams has yet been formally agreed, but it's only just gone up to 48, hasn't it? This last
Yeah.
one from 32. And I
Yeah.
mean, there must be some kind of a limit, because especially if you're diluting it across the planet. I mean, I know, travel, you can go across the planet pretty quickly, but hey, it's expensive for fans if they want to go to South America as well. They've got to take that kind of into account. But
Mm.
it's like FIFA are not just progressing it, it's like they're fundamentally altering the structure of the World Cup. And
Mm.
maybe to suddenly come out and say, oh, yeah, we also started up this company, FIFA Forward Enterprise, and we're inviting companies to come in and take over large parts of the share structure of that company
Mm.
without any consultation with any of the world federations, let alone the associations like the FA. It
Mm.
just smacks of, Infantino. I think I'm not sure he's the most popular guy, as was not FIFA president of FIFA before that, and that's Sepp Blatter, who
mm,
incidentally I read has also come out against what FIFA are now planning to do. I mean, Sepp Blatter, of all people, who was banned from football, I think, for a while
mm,
um, because of alleged corruption, whatever was involved, I don't know. But he's come out against it, saying this is not the way forward. So it's going to be an interesting thing to watch now. What happens with this? Ultimately, I get the feeling that Gianni Infantino has got maybe too much individual power, and he's just treading a path that he wants to tread. He'll make a fortune out of it himself, I'm sure, and I'm not sure it's that he can kind of say he or FIFA own football enough to make those decisions. So I
mm,
think there'll be a fight on his hands to do this.
mm, mm. Yeah. Now, okay, so just before I ask, are there pros to this? Because there bound to be some pros. But anyway, let's just look at it this way. So, isn't football always been commercialized? You know, you have in England, we have Manchester United, they have owners, Liverpool, all these clubs around the world. They have various owners, and what these owners do is they pump money into it and make it
Yeah,
a bit more profitable, a bit more widely available. So, these are all investors, and then they try to claw back this money from, the proceeds these clubs bring in. Isn't that the sort of thing that FIFA is going towards? That's always been there anyway.
yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, anything that, well, not anything, but if something's bringing money into the game and it's used within the game, I mean,
Mm,
it's one thing, but you just get the feeling that independent companies will want their own pound of flesh from their
mm,
investment.
mm,
And such money that comes in, I guess, will be not only going to FIFA, but the other federations and so on, which I don't know, will it end up ultimately in the pockets of the top players or a good part of it?
mm,
I don't know whether that's a pro or not. Sometimes it's good to bring in outside investment. I agree. I mean,
mm,
I think it's true to say that the Premier League was quite late to the party of sponsorship on shirts, for example. I mean, now we think nothing. We'd think that we would notice it if there wasn't a sponsor across a football shirt. It would look a bit strange, as Chelsea did when they went. They were told they couldn't do this, that, and the other, and the sponsor Three, the telephone company, I think, it was
mm,
removed from their shirt, and it looked a bit odd not to have that on there. And of course, since then they've got a new sponsor. So
mm,
sponsorship, I think, is good because that is good for the clubs. Clubs find their own sponsors. I mean, in the last few years, Palace have had, I don't know, two, three, four sponsors. Going back a few years, Virgin actually sponsored Palace for a couple of seasons.
mm,
So I think that can be a good thing when it's channeled the money directly to the clubs, who then would hopefully invest some in the local community, which clubs tend to do nowadays. And I think that's one thing. But if I just one thing I noticed about this,
mm.
um, it says each of FIFA's 211 member associations would also be given a stake worth approximately £15 million, which they could keep or sell. That's the associations like the FA.
Right.
Infantino would then be in line to run the company after he steps down as head of FIFA
Hmm.
in, I think, 2031, I think it is. One proposed investor is Joshua Kushner, a younger brother of President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Now, that may be fine, but that connection does seem to be manifesting itself there, and it may be not suggesting there's anything untoward about that. It
Mm,
probably isn't, because a relative of a president, a prime minister, or anyone else, that they are quite at liberty to take their own business opportunities. So I'm not suggesting otherwise.
mm,
And good luck to that guy and that company. But it just seems this has been done without any um, any discussion with all the powers that be around the world. And that in itself, I don't think sets it up to be a good thing. But
No.
who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I just thought about it. I thought, well, hasn't it always been commercialized? But then it's the question of whose hands is it in, who's profiting,
Yeah.
and that becomes a problem, don't it? Yeah. Now UEFA has voiced their displeasure. They say it crosses the line or that football's governing institutions should never cross.
Mm.
And then they say football is never for sale. So, yeah. Okay. So, Italy. Now, Italy has not been at the. I don't remember Italy being at the two previous World Cups. Have they?
I think they've not been at the last three.
All
They've
right.
not
Okay.
been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So there you go. So Italy hasn't. Now, Roberto Mancini is the new Italy manager. What do we make of that? Roberto Mancini.
Yeah, I mean he's a good manager,
Hmm.
and up until a week or so ago, it did look like that Pep Guardiola was going to go there because they made approaches to him and they said they were prepared to break, if you like, break their salary structure.
Hmm.
That's what teams used to say, clubs used to say when they bought a good player in the Premier League, didn't they? They're prepared to break their salary structure because the point is that doesn't go down well with existing players. But be that as it may, um, and yeah, but they said Pep they're prepared to do that. They didn't say by how much or what it would be. But
Hmm.
apparently, a week or so ago, it seems to be in train this pot. And I thought, well, Pep obviously wants the job because he'd been in negotiations with them. But
Hmm.
apparently he wanted, I think it was £17 million a year. And ultimately, I mean, again, what do we know as outsiders? But from what I read, I gleaned they weren't prepared to go that high. So although they said they would break their normal structure, and I don't know what most international managers get. I mean, it would depend around the world, but uh, I mean, we know that our man Tuchel gets an eight-figure amount. Well, eight figures is at least £10 million a year. So, there's a ballpark probably of 10 or 12 million, but
Hmm.
they wouldn't pay 17. Again, if these reported figures are accurate, we don't know, which apparently is what Pep said he wanted. And in a way, I think it's a bit unfair if someone's leaked that because it doesn't look so good on somebody if they're sort of almost being greedy and saying, I want that. It may be nothing of the sort. He may have put down a few feelers of what ballpark he's looking at, but he might be prepared to negotiate it. Who knows? It's probably done through his agent and all the rest of it. But
Hmm.
yeah, that seems to be the surface story that has come up that they wouldn't break the bank, if you like, for him. And so they've given the job to Roberto Mancini, who I think was
Hmm.
also manager of Manchester City once, I believe.
Yeah.
Sure, he was. So yeah, I mean, I think there is a bit of a merry-go-round of some of these managers, often Italian or other nationalities, who seem to do a good job. Jose Mourinho. He's a very good manager. I still think he's very good. And there's a level of high-level managers who get the main jobs, I guess. So it suggests that Pep may take another job. Not, I think, in this country, but he may take another job. The fact that he was considering becoming manager of Italy.
Hmm.
So it's a
Yeah.
big step for somebody, isn't it, who's been a club manager? Because although in some ways you might say, well, that's better. I've done a few years as club manager, day in, day out, and all the rest of it. It would be nice to be able to go and watch matches around the world at the weekend, see other teams, and get the players together. I don't know, once every 6 weeks or so. It's a step down from the pressure in one sense. So I would have thought that might suit Pep, but who knows? We don't know the facts. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I think Robert Mancini, he's Italian, isn't he? So um, I think he's Roberto Mancini, I think he is. So it's natural that that he's taking on his national side's job, I suppose.
Mm. Yeah. Now, this next one is about the World Cup regarding Argentina again. Now, IFAB, the organization in charge of setting football rules, have confirmed that Bril Embolo should not have been sent off against Argentina at the World Cup. They issued a statement on the misuse of VAR during the World Cup. The body has established that video review can intervene in cases of error regarding the identity of a cautioned player, but not to overturn the sanction, particularly in situations involving simulation. Now, again, Argentina is being dragged into this thing. What would be an ideal punishment for Argentina? We know it's not going to happen, but if you was the president of FIFA, what would you be looking to do?
What nationality was the player who shouldn't have been sent off? What team was that? Do you know?
Switzerland, I think.
Switzerland. Yeah. Okay.
Switzerland, yes.
It's a difficult question, isn't it? I think the best punishment, because when you think at the end of that game as well, how some of their players and coaches, I think, attacked some of the Spanish players, particularly one or two very young players, sort of 21-year-olds with hands around their neck. I mean, you wouldn't find a more disgraceful performance by a team having lost any match, let alone a final. There should be decorum and graciousness in defeats. You've got to learn, and you've got to show your younger players watching on and younger fans that you can lose graciously, magnanimously. You don't, it's not win at all costs. And I think because Argentina felt they were destined to win that, and whatever we may say or think, they would have known just by what happened that they were being favoured. They would. I mean, Messi must always get the feeling, if he's honest, that he is looked after. And why not? He's a great player. He's a very good footballer. But that kind of sense of we're special, even FIFA look after us, and things seem to go our way every time. That can become kind of an assumed benefit to your team. Now, how can they be punished? Well, it was a World Cup final, and at the end of that game, as we say, it was disgraceful what Argentina did, some of their players, and even all of them, apart from one, turning their back when the cup was presented and all the confetti goes up. I forget the name, but one Argentina guy did turn around and look, and he defended himself, and good luck to him, because Argentina fans, they're very vocal and very militant in support of their team. So he probably got it in the neck from some of the team themselves for doing that. But good luck to him for showing some sportsmanship. But anyway, the best punishment for Argentina, thankfully, was meted out by Spain. Because if Argentina had won, well, of course, if they won, they wouldn't have been pushing players over and punching them at the end of the match. So we wouldn't have seen that, but we would still have seen their way through the competition, the tournament, being favoured. And that doesn't go right down well with people, especially when you see Messi and others as well, falling over the floor, having not literally been touched. And when Fernandez was sent off, something I picked up at the time on the television, the foul was appalling. I mean, the guy was spinning through the air, the Spanish player. And when it was quite obvious, even though it was Argentina, the ref had no choice really but to send him off. At that moment, when Fernandez put his, all this stuff they do, whatever they do that for, another Argentina player fell over, just sat down, fell as if he'd been poleaxed. And as Fernandez was starting arguing with the ref, Messi, the captain, kept the ref pointing. Oh, we got an injured player over there. And I remember saying here, he's not injured. He fell over because he saw what was about to happen to Fernandez,
Mm.
and that they're all in it together. And And we know, despite everything, Argentina are a good football team. They were up against a much better football team in Spain, thankfully, because I think the world wouldn't have wanted Argentina to win. And whatever they may say, they know that. They know this massive petition, 23 million voted for them to be dumped out of the next tournament. And
Mm.
whatever bravado comments you might come out with, you know that there's a good reason why many people, millions of people, think that after crass behaviour, dangerous behaviour at the end of a football match, which was kind of condoned by FIFA, because unless I've missed it, I'm not yet aware of any comment from FIFA about any punishment. All we've heard is that they're actually hosting a game and they get automatic entry to the next one. It's almost rubbing this all in the faces of the people who voted to throw them out and the rest of us as well, because no one could condone their behaviour. So that's the thing. Thankfully, they lost, and you know the right side of things won the day. I still think there should be some sanction from FIFA to acknowledge what they did, what Argentina did, but they probably don't want to do it because in doing that, they will. You never know what might come out of the woodwork. If there was a kind of an unsaid agreement, unspoken agreement that Argentina are being favoured, FIFA will know that could come out, that even within their own ranks, if they
Mm.
start pointing the finger at Argentina and punishing them in some way, you never know what could be said about stuff that Infantino may have said, or anybody might have said. Look, we do want Messi in the final, and it may have been no more than that an aspiration which you can understand. Why would you not want the best player in the world? Arguably, why would you not want him to be there through the tournament? Because if he goes early on, the tournament loses something. So there's nothing wrong with that, but it's only wrong if you then gear things, change things to Argentina's advantage. What
Mm.
would I do now? I mean, maybe the only option really is a huge fine. A
Mm.
really, big fines tend not to worry footballers in the top end of things, let alone the clubs. You find one of today's rich clubs, I don't know, 10 million, 20 million, it probably wouldn't scratch the surface. But if you find Argentina and their international body, I don't know, what would I say, £50 million or whatever their currency is, that could hurt a bit. It could.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Uh,
but then what do we know? I don't think FIFA would do that. I mean,
no.
there would probably be a huge appeal. It might go to law and all the rest of it. So at the end of the day, I expect it will all be quietly forgotten, and things move on, which ultimately is not a bad way forward, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. Now, this one is a crazy fact. Manchester United remain the only Premier League Big Six club to have never signed a 100 million player. The club has spent over 2.1 billion on transfers since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, but has never broken the 100 million barrier. How have they done it?
Now what?
How have they done it?
Yeah, I don't know. But let's face it, they've been in a time of flux, really, the last few years. Whether we say going back to Alex Ferguson, I mean, he retired, I think, in 2013. So it's 13 years ago. And that's a bit of a lifetime in footballers' terms, isn't it? The actual lifespan of a top football player. But they've never really, the club has never really hit a real settle patch, I think, in that time. I don't know how many managers they've had. It's got to be quite a few. And they might
Hmm.
say no one really sort of fitted the bill. And I think as well, the what's the name of the owners? The Glazers, isn't it? Is it the
Glaziers, yeah.
Glazers? Yeah.
Glaziers,
I
yeah.
mean, I think there's still probably a lot of fans would still like the club to have different ownership. So that maybe that inhibits things. But I think Man United, they've got the money. They're a rich club, and
Hmm.
if a player was on the market who they wanted, I think they've still got the pull of being one of the most famous and probably one of the richest clubs in the world, and that is a pull to players. Even now, I think if you get wanted by Manchester United, either in this country or abroad, I think it's still got that magic about going to that club with all its history and achievements. So I think that it could have happened if a top player became available. I mean, they could, for example, have gone for Anderson
Mm.
and paid 100+ million possibly. But I don't know. You never know whether the owners are being a bit careful what money is spent. They obviously have to look at the financial fair play rules. They call that different things now. But I
Mm.
mean, if they spent 2.1 billion
Mm.
in 13 years, that's a lot of money. So some of them must have been a bit close, I would have thought, to 100 million, if not
Yeah.
over it, sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, Jadon Sanchez was 83 million.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And that always
still,
strikes us as a bit strange because
it
we've never
does.
really seen the best of him. He's obviously got
Yeah.
something, but he's not really displayed that too much, has he?
No, no. Now, Zinedine Zidane.
Zinedine Zidane, yeah.
Zinedine Zidane. I think that's the correct way to pronounce it. Now, he said France had a magnificent journey at the World Cup, and he is the next French manager. I think Didier Deschamps or whatever. He's
Yeah.
uh, he's resigned, not resigned, maybe, but left. Let's put it that way. Now, Zinedine Zidane, the next manager, is saying, "Hang on a minute, France had a magnificent journey at the World Cup." Now, does he have a point there? Because I have a point. My point is, why aren't we saying that about England? Because we beat France. So he's
In
saying,
in the in the bronze job he won it in the playoff.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think a couple of things. First thing I would just say, I was very surprised about Mbappe after they lost to Spain after the tournament. I think he was really quite critical of Deschamps, who was a good manager for some years with the national side, and of course a great player as well,
mm,
internationally and otherwise. And I would say up until that game with Spain,
mm,
France were. I would have said they were one of the best teams on display. They were like textbook. They just seemed on their game, and the passing was brilliant. I felt it looked a bit like a textbook team. So to me,
mm,
that must mean I really rated their play. So I can see what Zidane means when he says that they had a very good run, and yet when it came to the semi final,
mm,
they lost their way. I mean, perhaps simply because Spain were a better team. Spain really came good as the
mm,
tournament went on. They timed it all very well. But France, maybe they peaked a bit early, but Spain outplayed them. And I suppose the lack of confidence that came from that, that's what we
mm,
kind of remember. And of course, England, we beat them the first half. It was like the French players didn't want to know. They'd rather have been somewhere else. But clearly they were bumped up at half time and they played much better and made it an exciting 6-4 game in the second half. So
mm,
I agree with Zidane for what it's worth, um, that they did have a good run and deserved that praise from him. I wouldn't I wouldn't say the same for England. I would say it in the sense that we got to the semi-final, and maybe that's what Zidane meant. I get the impression he meant a bit more than that. But I think it's generally accepted that, apart from playing Croatia in the first game, and we had a very good, most of the first half was very good. And
mm,
I thought, well, we're going to take some beating after that game. You know, we're going to. I bet other clubs think they wish they had a Kane and a Bellingham because we looked the business. We looked on it, and I thought, yeah, this is going to be the time it happens.
mm,
But it somehow didn't. We kind of faded a bit in and out. We had some good moments. Some of the players played well in different games. But whether it was because Tuchel, when we won the Croatia game, he still changed the starting lineup for the next game. We that was may have been the difficult one against Ghana, but we beat Panama well. But each time we won, he changed it. It will be by two or three players to start, which
Mm,
I don't understand. If your team's winning, okay, you may make the odd substitution, but if the team wins, start that team again, because maybe what we lacked was that sixth sense that footballers develop in each other, knowing
mm,
where their colleagues are going to be on the pitch. And if you don't play the same team, I think for a few months before the tournament, you're never going to get that extra knowledge of each other's games, because that's sort of the 1%, 2% things that can make a difference to the result. And maybe,
mm,
and I think until we actually play a team that we get pretty much as we want it, as a manager wants it, a couple of months before a tournament, Euros or
mm,
World Cup, I don't think we're going to win it, because, and
mm.
especially if you're a manager who, like Tuchel, he came and kept changing it. And, by putting on loads of different subs, I don't think it works. So I still think he potentially is a good manager, and we should certainly give him his chance at the Euros. We might be pleasantly surprised and find we actually win it. But I have a hunch if we do the same things, we're going to get the same results. And if
Yeah.
the same things involve, you know, changing the team, the starting lineup when it won the previous game, I
Mm,
think that's a problem.
absolutely. Right. So this is all we've got time for. Do you want to conclude for us, please, bro?
Yeah, okay. Well, there's a lot of things we discussed today, especially as there's no football going on at the moment. So I think we've looked at things which we've reflected on the World Cup, and maybe next week we'll be looking at the coming season to see what we think may happen. Anyhow, I'm Trevor Gear, and he calls me bruv,
And I'm Emmy Hickins, and he calls me Cuz. It's a goodbye from me.
and a goodbye from me too. Well,
Okay.
yeah, it's good.